Hello, and welcome back to Sinister Sisters. My name is Kat, and I am joined by my co-host.
Shrimp.
Oh. Welcome to Soapbox Sunday, a Sunday every week episode where
Weekly.
I was going to say Sundayly again, but then I remembered I'm pretty sure I said that last time, and maybe it's not that funny if I say it twice, you know?
No, it wasn't really funny when you said it once.
Welcome to Soapbox Sunday, which is a weekly episode where we discuss whatever I want. So in my
Yay.
previous searches for, interesting topics to talk about on Sundays, I have often come across like short tidbits of things that I think are interesting, but there isn't enough detail or information to make it a full episode.
Fun.
So what we're doing today is we're actually going to go through a few fun facts, short and sweet topics,
Ooh.
and yeah, put them
It's
together.
an episode full of mini-sodes.
Yeah.
We love that.
So the theme on our episode of minisodes today is medical kind of things.
Medical shit.
So these will be really great facts for you to pull out of your bum next time you have, a fun fact sharing or a trivia session or something like that.
I can't fit my fun facts in my bum.
Well, try harder.
Your mom's
Just
in
gonna-
there.
Oh.
Hmm.
So just
You
as
can
a
cut
content,
that out.
yeah, probably gonna cut out a lot of things from this episode already. And we're only 1 minute in.
You can't cut out 2.5. You can't cut out my singing. Because it's the introduction to the whole episode.
Anyway, okay. So yeah, we're going to talk about some medical facts about bodies and such. But I just want to put a little content warning in here. There are some, somewhat in-depth discussion about medical procedures in this episode, and also talking about bodies. So if that's something that's uncomfy for you, click off. We'll catch you next week. Be safe. So our first fun fact, medical fact, is there's actually this surgery which is called osteoodontokeratoprosthesis, or tooth in the eye surgery, where an ophthalmologist literally puts a tooth in your eye in order to improve your vision.
What? What's an ophthalmologist, first of all? An eye doctor?
An eye doctor, but not like
An eye surgeon?
an eye surgeon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this tooth in the eye surgery is not some like weird medieval bullshit like putting leeches on your body surgery. Like they do it today.
How does it make your eyesight better?
I'm gonna tell you. So, firstly, what they do is they take the front surface of your cornea and they remove it along with any scar tissue that might be there from previous surgeries. They then replace that with tissue that's taken from the lining of the inside of your cheek. Then what they do is they take a tooth out and some bone from your jaw, and then they shape it and drill it into the correct shape to hold a round lens implant. Usually the tooth is the canine tooth. And then the new tooth/lens combo are implanted into your cheek for about 4 months, where it will then grow its own blood supply. Once that's ready, the implant will be placed into your eye, and so the tooth will hold the lens in place. The best candidates for this particular surgery are people who are blind because of corneal scarring or have had several failed corneal transplant grafts. So people who've had this is not like the first off the bat thing that they do, but people who've done
That's
other
promising.
surgeries and it not taken well.
Mm-hmm.
The procedure itself was pioneered by an Italian ophthalmic surgeon called Professor Strompelli in the early 1960s.
Professor Strompelli, I put a tooth in your eye.
And
Mamma
then
mia, it's a tooth.
in 2022, a retrospective study was done on this procedure on 82 eyes that had been given the procedure with the original technique. And it actually showed an anatomical survival rate of 94% at 30-year follow-up mark. So it works, and people get their vision back, but through their tooth.
That's fun.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
right.
Like, crazy cool.
But like, who thought of that? But it makes sense because it's
Stromboli.
all pieces. Well, thanks. It makes sense because it's all pieces of your own body already, right? So then you won't
Yeah.
reject it in the same way that you might reject like a transplanted,
Cornea.
yeah, or eye or whatever.
That is like, can you imagine? Stromboli would have gone into his doctor's meeting and be like, so I'm gonna put a tooth in an eye. And everyone would have whispered about him for years behind his back. Did you hear about fucking Stromboli, man? Putting
Strampelli.
a oh. Who?
Strampelli.
Did you hear about fucking Strampelli, man? He's putting teeth in people's eyes and you think that's gonna work?
Strampelli. Now southern.
Stromboli is a type of pasta, isn't it?
Probably.
I did that to myself.
Okay, so that's our first fun fact.
That was interesting. But
Yeah.
also, I want to say, how freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's the coolest shit I've ever heard.
Isn't medicine freaking wild?
Yeah.
Like, what do you
And,
mean?
like, also,
Tooth
not
in
only
eye.
not only is medicine freaking cool, but, like, people.
Yeah.
These dudes, like, have the same kind of brain build as me, and they can think of that. And I can't. You know, and, like, actually understand how to make that shit work.
Yeah. Crazy. Have you ever seen those memes where it's like, this brain cannot be the same brain that I had when I read one book a week my whole
Yeah.
childhood?
Yeah. Those were the days, bro.
Seriously.
For depression and
Actually, though, in 2020, I did read one book a week. So, or 2021, I read one book a week.
But did you actually read one book a week, or did you read 51 books in January and then one for the rest of the year?
I read 16 books in January.
That's a lot of fucking books.
Yeah. Well, because it was midway through COVID 2.0 lockdowns. It was cold, so I was just like, guess I'm sitting here and reading. Fuck it.
Fair. Anyways, what's our next one?
So there's a recent study, I believe, from 2019, that was a meta-analysis that found that restriction on interuterine growth, also aka being born at a lower weight, smaller birth weight, actually protected people from developing an allergy later in life. Individual susceptibility to allergies is developmentally programmed by early life exposures, but a birth weight increase of 1 kilogram, which is 2.2 pounds, was associated with a 44% greater chance of developing a food allergy, a 17% greater risk of developing allergic dermatitis, which is like rashy things. But there was no increased risk of developing allergic rhinitis, which is like hay fever. So
What?
big babies, like babies over 10 pounds, are almost 50% more likely to develop a food allergy than someone who's born at like a kind of an average birth weight.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, why?
And this isn't one study, like a meta-analysis
Yeah.
is a study of studies. So
And it's not like a small amount either. If it's like, oh, you're 2.3% more likely, it's like half as
Yeah.
more likely.
Yeah. And 1 kilogram isn't a lot, right?
No. That fucking weird, bro.
Yeah.
Human beings think they're so smart. But like things like this, you're like, we know nothing.
Literally.
Literally nothing about anything.
That'll be a fun segue into our next topic. But just one last point on this allergy piece. Um, so that, like, in their final conclusions, obviously there's strongest evidence for allergies that appear during infancy and early childhood, but there isn't a ton of evidence between like birth weight and adult onset allergies. So
Oh.
um, they could be allergies that are developed and then are grown out of, like sometimes that happens, or it actually could present like a higher percentage if you factor in adult allergies as well. Right. So
Hmm.
very interesting. You and I were average sized babies and
I
do
was
not have
8
any
pounds
allergies.
6 ounces. I have really let myself go.
Classic. So
Let's get into it.
speaking of people not knowing shit about shit,
Mm-hmm.
the last thing that we're going to talk about is dreams and some theories on
Mm-hmm.
why we dream. So, dreams really seem like they play an important role in something, but we're not
Yeah.
really sure why and what the evolutionary significance of dreaming actually is. Dreams usually are bizarre nonsense, often frightening, and
Mm-hmm.
for some reason
Uncontrollable.
yeah, and you're married to somebody who is your current partner but looks like Joe from down the road for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, very
Weird.
unreliable. Yeah. So there are a lot of hypotheses as to why we dream. So I'm just going to touch on a few that are kind of note. Um, these are all scientific based, Western scientific based hypotheses. So there's no like theological, religious, spiritual explanations that I'll be covering. So that might be a topic for another day, or something sinister sisters, sinister siblings that you can research on your own. Let us know. Okay. In the 1960s, sleep researchers began to notice that, in contrast with other stages of sleep, the brain was especially active during REM sleep, as we just saw Shrimp demonstrate how our eyes are rapidly moving. Um, so, several researchers believed that the primary function of dreaming was actually to stimulate the brain or to like keep it in shape during these prolonged periods of rest or inactivity that you have when you're sleeping. And later research supported the general idea of this. For example, there are specific categories of neurotransmitters that are highly active during REM sleep, while others are seemingly resting. This led many researchers to conclude that dreaming was necessary for one or more of these functions, so either to replenish neurotransmitters, rest a particular area of the brain, or to restore the thermoregulatory system, which actually turns off during REM sleep. So you don't regulate your temperature during REM.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's why you can just wake up in a sweaty mess when you went to bed freezing.
Yeah. But just during REM sleep, which is actually like quite short little blips in your sleep cycle.
But once you start sweating, you're sweating.
You're sweating. You're
You're
donezo.
hot, ain't you?
Yeah.
You're fucking
It's
hot.
over. It's over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in it.
These kind of early theories about like resting the brain or conditioning the brain or whatever the case is kind of they place very little emphasis on the content of dreams themselves. So while they might explain why we dream. They don't really explain why we dream what we dream.
Okay.
A Harvard psychologist named Deirdre Barrett is kind of like a
Person.
person in this in the field of dreams.
Forerunner.
Forerunner. Thank you. So Deirdre Barrett is a forerunner in the dream sphere, and her preferred evolutionary explanation for dreaming, and that's her best known theory, is that the dreamscape provided our ancestors, and then in turn us, with like a creative canvas that can help us to solve real world problems. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence of people solving problems or making groundbreaking discoveries as a result of something that they dreamed. So the periodic table actually came to the person who invented it in a dream. Fun fact.
Thanks. Now I had to memorize it for 2 years.
So a very recent study that was done in 2021 by someone called Eric Howell suggests
Howl.
it's Hoel. Howell.
Well.
It sounds like you're saying whole stupidly. Howell.
Yeah, it does.
So the study that he did, or this paper that he wrote in 2021, suggests that the strange dreams that we have actually help our brains to understand day-to-day experiences in a way that enables us to learn more deeply about them. This particular study theorizes that humans are actually able to expand their brain power in much the same way that artificial intelligence systems are trained to become smarter. So, scientists who work with AI use something called a deep neural network to teach their AI about topics. So, the AI actually learns about things. So, it's
Yeah.
on the based on the human brain.
That's cool.
If an AI becomes too familiar with a certain data set, it will oversimplify its analysis, which eventually makes it less able to problem solve with novel scenarios that are sort of similar.
Mm.
So, in this recent study, Hall states that the very strangeness of dreams and the way they diverge from waking experiences gives us insight that there must be a biological function behind it. Our experience with deep neural networks, which themselves are inspired by brain function, give us possible clues as to why this happens. So his hypothesis is that if we dream something that's novel or something that we haven't experienced, we can actually teach our brains how to react to that situation if it were to happen in real life. So when AI becomes too familiar with a data set, you give it something new to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so this paper hypothesizes that is exactly what our brains are doing, is giving us a scenario that hasn't occurred but could occur and is similar to something that we have experienced, something that's sort of in our wheelhouse. And it helps us to understand more deeply. So, of course, this is a really hard point to prove. We're not able to plug our brains into like movie screens like you can on TV. But you know, I would hypothesize that eventually we will get to that point.
Probably.
Apparently, though, there is a reliable way to integrate the real life experiences that you're having into dreams. So, to do that, you repetitively perform a new task before you go to sleep. This process triggers your brain to become overfamiliar with the task. And then during sleep, your brain will create quirky dreams that incorporate the newly acquired knowledge. So the example that they gave was
Cute.
playing Tetris. So if you play Tetris for an hour before bed and you've never played it before, you likely will go to bed and have dreams kind of around Tetris or similar processes or similar kinds of games.
That's
The,
cute.
the paper also hypothesized that in the future, if this is something that we can sort of control, we could use dreams to teach people things. So you could download a dream or force your body into dreaming something that would teach you something new.
Why do we have to learn something all the time?
Because learning's good for your brain.
Everything is a test. Like, I can't even sleep, bro.
Yeah. So those are my fun medicine facts, my friends.
Maybe I could passively learn how to do math.
Probably.
I should try it.
You should.
And come back to it in 6 months on the Sinister Sisters podcast and be like, remember that time? I can't do math.
Thank you so much for listening today, friends. You can follow us on Instagram at sinistersisters.podcast, on TikTok at Sinister Sisters Podcast. You can send us an email at sinistersisterspod@gmail.com. And you can also follow us on YouTube to check out the video episodes, which is Sinister Sisters Podcast. Also, all of those links will be in the show notes or the episode description. And yeah, let us know what you thought. Use the case request form to request the cases. And join us on Tuesday for another true crime episode. Whee! Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, bitch.